Angela Merkel is Europe's most recognizable but also most enigmatic politician. She first came to power in 2005, and since then her record in office has been one of extraordinary survivability. She's about to be crowned for her fourth term in office, despite the fact that 2 years ago Germany absorbed over 1 million mainly Syrian refugees. Now, that would have felled most politicians in Europe, but not in her case. So what's her secret? Well, her secret is reassurance. She is making normal and boring great again at a time when the rest of the world is all sound and fury. People want her precisely because she's been there for such a long time. She is the embodiment of political continuity. And nothing illustrates that reassurance more than her nickname, which is Mutti or Mummy, it's strange you might say, and this hand gesture here, what they call the rhombus here in Germany. In fact, this gesture is so familiar, it graced a giant poster in the last general election here 4 years ago, close to Berlin station. But who is the woman behind that gesture? Angela Merkel's journey to power mirrors Germany's journey to quiet, almost self-effacing, but unmistakable dominance in Europe. The single daughter of a West German pastor who moved to communist East Germany to spread the Christian message. The city walls of Templin, the most remarkable thing about this otherwise rather unremarkable town, because they have stayed intact for 7 centuries of revolution, of upheaval, of wars, and in a sense they mirror the appeal of the local hero, Angela Merkel. She chose physics, quantum physics, because she loved the pure logic of it. The subject was also uncontaminated by politics and Marxist-Leninist ideology. When the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, Angela Merkel saw her opportunity. She joined the East German Christian Democrats, sister party of the CDU of West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl. The architect of German unity recognized Merkel's potential and put her in his cabinet as a token female East German.
Kann die Menschheit, kann das Leben auf unserem Planeten existenziell gefährden?
Kohl and his fellow grandees initially underestimated her ambition, but also her cunning. With more than a hint of condescension, he referred to her as das Mädchen, the girl, and even said that she never quite managed to eat with a knife and fork. But in 1999, in the middle of a campaign finance scandal, Merkel knifed Kohl in the back. The girl mounted her insurrection against the man who had dominated the CDU and German unification in the most public way. By the way, Angela Merkel has an allergy to condescending men. When the Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi humiliated her on the red carpet during a NATO summit by keeping her waiting while he was on the phone, she never really forgave him. A few years later, at the height of the Euro crisis, she was instrumental in having him removed from power. As an East German politician in a West German powerhouse, as a woman in a predominantly male club, Merkel has always felt like an outsider in her own party. With caution bordering on paranoia, she's been careful to neutralize any potential rivals, so much so that the party now has no obvious successor. In terms of policy, she has turned compromise and caution, even procrastination, into an art form. She occupies the left wing of her Christian Democrat party. She's always preferred a coalition government with smaller parties. Well, Alex, we all thought she was going to win, but what wasn't expected was the size of the victory of her party. And the papers, especially the tabloids, were having a field day with this today. Look at this one here. This is the Berliner Kurier. Angela Merkel looking rather impish there. Perhaps a little smug, and the headline is, "They're all dwarves apart from Mutti." That's the German word for mum. That is her favourite nickname. In 2014, she first ruled out bailing out the Greek economy before throwing them a lifeline, albeit a very costly one. And most famously in 2015, she decided, to the consternation of much of Europe, to throw open Germany's doors to the rising swell of refugees flooding across the Aegean.
Im Blick auf unsere Geschichte, auf die Beispiele, die ich genannt habe, bin ich überzeugt, wenn wir jetzt tatsächlich zweifeln würden, dass wir das nicht schaffen.
Merkel tried to pressure her fellow European leaders into opening their doors. No such luck. One after another they shunned her, condemned her reckless miscalculation and wrote her political obituaries. One after another she proved them wrong and once again survived a storm of her own making. She flatly rejected the suggestion of fences and walls to keep them out, saying that she grew up behind a wall and didn't want anyone to repeat that experience. She tried hard to keep Britain in the EU and seemed to get along well with David Cameron.
Mark Fried from Channel 4 News. Und Frau Kanzlerin, falls ich darf, heute in der Bild-Zeitung steht, was wollen die Engländer eigentlich noch in der EU? What do the Brits still want in the EU?
Dass wir hier stehen,
The fact that we're both standing here, how we're standing and what we're saying shows that we need each other in Europe. But she stubbornly refused to give him a deal on immigration. When Britain voted for Brexit, she felt a mixture of exasperation and disappointment. And her relationship with Vladimir Putin is defined by the neuroses of her East German youth. She was instrumental in imposing sanctions against Russia after Crimea and communicated her anger to Putin in fluent Russian. George Bush famously gave her a back rub at a G8 summit while she gave him the cold shoulder. But the international leader who has challenged her view of the world most is one Donald Trump. The thick-skinned quantum physicist is temperamentally and intellectually at odds, even at a loss, with the thin-skinned quantum tweeter Donald Trump. He even refused to shake her hand after a one-on-one in the Oval Office, the ultimate insult.
Thank you.
He's lambasted Germany repeatedly and seemed determined to rub Merkel up the wrong way. She has refused to rise to the bait. Thanks to Trump's tantrums, Merkel now finds herself frequently described as the de facto leader of the free world. But she abhors the title, shuns that level of responsibility and limelight. And she is, as ever, far more comfortable being underestimated than overestimated, even on the eve of her fourth successful election. Her greatest skill is survival, but is that enough to make her great?